Hi, I'm Eric Poulin.
And I'm Robin Poulin.
We're the co-founders of Calendar Budget, and welcome to the Calendar Budget podcast.
I can pay cash, I can pay check, I can pay wire transfer, I can pay gift card, I can pay credit, I can pay anything you like. I can pay cash, I can pay check, I can pay wire transfer, I can pay gift card, I can pay credit, I can pay anything you like.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to do something a little different again. We're going to do a little bit of meet the co-founders of Calendar Budget, which we haven't done before. So we'll get started with that. And next week, we'll likely resume back to our regular explaining personal finance tips. But we do have quite a number of users, in the thousands of users. And we figured some of you might want to know who created this monstrosity that we call Calendar Budget. No, just kidding.
This beautiful product.
Exactly. So just to set the stage, we're obviously married. We've been married for 22
years now.
22 years. We have 5 children. We're both the oldest of our original family. So I'm the oldest of 3 brothers.
And I'm the oldest of 2 sisters.
Yeah. We're within a half year of each other.
Yeah, 8 months.
8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough.
I'm the older one. Wiser too.
The older and wiser one.
Of course.
That's just a bit of demographics, of course, but the real crux of it is, why are we doing personal finance? What makes us feel qualified about that, and why are we even here? So let's get right into it. So we obviously have a business. Calendar Budget is our business.
Mm-hmm.
Why personal finance as a business?
Well, that's something that started back when we first got married. You were working as a programmer at that time, and we thought your skills could help us in this area. We were just newlyweds, and we wanted to manage our finances to be able to plan for our future. And we thought, let's put your skills to good use.
Yeah.
And I had some basic skills as well in development, as in education, but I didn't have experience in the field because when I graduated, our family started quickly after that.
Yeah. So history. I went to school for computer information systems, which is a degree in.
And I did the same program.
Engineering kind of degree, software engineering.
Yeah.
And then Robin did the same program.
After you graduated?
After I graduated, I went away to serve a mission for my church for 2 years. Robin stayed in school, and when I got back...
And I hadn't served a mission previous to Eric even going on his mission. So
when I got back, we got married, and then at that time I was working at IBM as a software developer.
And I was just finishing my schooling. And
that's where we came up with the idea of Calendar Budget to begin with. And so why personal finance? Exactly that. It's like
it was for our family.
We needed something for ourselves. We were just the 2 of us. We had a child almost immediately after we got married. And we're like...
Meaning like a year later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case people are doing some... some calculating.
The kids have done the math over the years, and they're like, okay, mom and dad.
It's all legit. We basically wanted to make sure that we're going to be on track, knowing that personal finance, that money issues were the source of a lot of problems in a lot of marriages.
And we didn't want that to be an issue for us, and we wanted to have a number of kids and wanted to be able to meet the needs of each of them. Yeah.
So Calendar Budget actually started as a little pet project to solve this problem, but it was really for me to learn new technology. Not really. It was both for me to learn new technology and to solve this problem.
Yeah, they just happened to coincide at the same time. We're like, hey, answer both at the same time.
Yeah, put my skills to some use. And you got to be the tester early on to make
because
sure.
of my education, I understood what kind of things to look for, what kind of things to do to break it per se, and to make it work better.
Yeah. So within Calendar Budget, what do you feel like our purpose is as business owners?
Let's see. The first thing comes to mind is just we get excited when we hear feedback from our users about what things they're able to do because of using Calendar Budget. That they can save thousands of dollars by paying off their loans quickly, or that they can plan for things in the future, like ourselves when we decided that we were going to need a new vehicle and that we're able to plan a few years in advance for that purchase and to be able to walk up and pay cash for something like that. Because especially with a vehicle, that's something that deteriorates in cost as soon as you drive it off the lot. Yeah. So you don't want to go into debt for that. So it's that, being able to plan for our own future and super excited to be able to help and see others succeed. It makes us excited when we hear those winning stories that they share. So.
Yeah. So for me, the purpose of our business, a lot of people are in business just to like make money. But I feel like we are very mission driven in that we literally know the impact that Calendar Budget has on helping people's finances be under control and be able to see, basically gaze into the future of what your money is going to be like. Yeah. And that, helping other people be able to see that, have the flexibility to be able to plan their money and then have that aha moment that like, oh, I can plan for my future and not just let it happen to me.
Yeah.
Like that for me is what wakes me up in the morning. That's why I'm passionate about doing this. Obviously, I like the coding end of things as well, but it's all in service towards helping other people, other couples, other families, individuals, anybody that needs personal finance advice, which is everybody.
Yeah. And one thought on that is you don't want to sacrifice your future for what you're going to do now. I want to have fun. I want this new car, new house and everything. And then you retire and you have nothing and you're living in squalor. Or vice versa. There's things that you want to enjoy now without saving completely everything for your future and never getting to use it because for whatever reason, things that change in your life.
I like that word squalor. What does that mean?
Squalor? That would be just dire straits, not having enough for, not enjoying life. Just
like the poverty?
Poverty, squalor.
Okay. That's a new word for me. Nice.
Cool.
It's also a vocabulary increasing on this podcast.
So he calls me the grammar Nazi. So.
The grammar Nazi.
Yeah.
Whenever we're publishing something, on the website, she's got to.
I love it.
Revise it a million times.
Side note, in high school, I didn't do very well at all. I barely got my credits for English. But since then, we have become published authors with Power Spending, Getting More for Less, and working on other things. And I have learned from practicing those skills over years of what looks good, what feels right. And so don't ever count yourself out on whatever you think you can't do. All you have to do is practice. What they say? It takes 18 minutes a day for a year, and you would be better than 90% of the population of the world. You would be an expert.
Yeah, 95% of Earth.
Yeah.
That's we're on a tangent here, but that's like the old 10,000 hours to become a true expert on something. Yeah. It's actually much less than that. It's only 100 hours if you pick the right things to study in that particular thing.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's off topic. Okay, question for you then. I know, so you just talked about writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're interested in writing a book. You're interested in writing fiction as well. So that's another little piece of information. Yeah. How's that going?
Well, I keep putting it aside. I get into it a little bit and then I figure I need to learn some more skills about being a compelling author that people want to keep reading. And so I start and I get going a bit, but then also get focused on Calendar Budget I want to accomplish more of the Calendar Budget.
So. That's what happens with me too. I
start. You want to write something.
I start a hobby it's not writing usually, but I start some kind of hobby,
Yeah.
and then I'll get into it a little bit, and then I'll be like,
Just thought of this.
I just thought of this cool idea for Calendar Budget, and then totally go back to fulfill my true mission in life.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Both of us.
I know for you, serving other people is a big motivator.
Yeah, I'm super driven by that.
So how do you feel that you are serving people through Calendar Budget?
Calendar Budget, I feel that serving them by helping them to have their eyes open about their personal finances can help them make a difference.
And what specifically are you doing in Calendar Budget that makes you feel like you're doing that?
Let's see.
Other than the whole business, but you personally.
Yeah, the one thing I do, and I do really well, I feel, is that I test Calendar Budget and I do everything I can to possibly break it so that you guys...
Before it gets to you.
Yeah, before it gets to you, so that we can get all the squeaks out and make sure it's operating quite well for you. So sometimes I don't think of it quite the way that you're going to use it, so that's something we'll sneak past. But yeah, that's one of the big things. And every now and then I get the opportunity to speak to some of the users and interview them about their experiences with Calendar Budget. And I love just hearing how they see it and hearing what more we can do to make Calendar Budget work in the way that's going to help them.
Yeah, so for me, other than actually building the product, I answer almost all of the support tickets that come in. And sometimes I feel I'm a little bit more hasty on answering those than I ought to be, but most of the time when support tickets come in, like, it's an opportunity for us to learn, because if somebody's had some kind of problem, whether we just haven't explained things well enough, or maybe there's a real problem and then people report it and we can fix it, that's great. But I think it's an opportunity for us to improve as a tool so that it's a better experience for everybody. So when you have problems with Calendar Budget of any kind, please do open tickets. We do take them very seriously, and it's an opportunity for us to improve the product. I look at every email that we get. Nothing is overlooked. Sometimes I do reply, and then many weeks go by before you may hear back, because sometimes we have to prioritize the work that we're doing. But in most cases, if it's a simple fix, we'll try to get that out right away.
Yeah.
The web app, just FYI, so the browser-based app, we can usually update very quickly. The mobile app takes a little bit longer because it's just a different technology, right? It has to be built and then tested, and then it has to go through approvals through the app stores. Whereas the web app, we can just
because we are
internally test it and then send it off.
Not so many hoops with the
right away.
App
release. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's a big question. I think a lot of our listeners are spouses of somebody who has a stable job and might be considering leaving that stable job to do some kind of entrepreneurial thing. Right. That's what happened to us. I was at a stable job.
We had our fifth child, maybe.
Decent income, and then decided that this little side project could be a business. Mm-hmm. So how did you deal with having a spouse that's transitioning? What kind of things were you feeling? And what kind of things did you wish that you would maybe have done differently? Or what advice would you give to people listening that might be in that same boat?
I think in a lot of cases, we weren't in the same boat that a lot of couples might be in for budgeting for something like this, for planning for something like this, because we have been thinking, well, in my heart, I was excited for the idea of being an entrepreneur. My mom was an entrepreneur when I was a kid, and that stuck the bug in me. So
how was she an entrepreneur?
She owned her own business for making draperies. And I saw her learn skills and continue to explore it by going to other professionals, like pretending she was a shopper sometimes, pretending she was another creator at sometimes, just learning the skills in whatever way she needed to, including going to school.
That's the skill. That's the main skill, is being a spy.
Exactly. Well, sometimes she didn't go in as a spy per se. Sometimes she just went in there forthright and said, "Hey, I just need to learn something. Can you let me know?" And she learned a lot of stuff along the way, and we saw her doing it. And me and my sister would play business every now and then. So I was excited about the idea of being an entrepreneur.
Was it stressful?
It was stressful because we had 5 young children. Financially, we looked at CalendarBudget. We didn't jump into this willy-nilly. We looked at CalendarBudget, said, how long can we last on the savings we have so that it's not a question of when will it run out? It's
because we had the tool before we made it available to the public when we were building it for ourselves. So we already had the ability to do projections before we released it to the world.
Yeah. And so with our 5th kid probably being, I don't know, a year old or something, that was probably the hardest struggle, is knowing that, and also having my background in computer programming for education. I knew that when Eric would say, hey, it took me all day to make this one button work, and some wives are probably like, what? But I get it.
Is it because you're an idiot?
That stupid comma. Yeah. So that sort of thing, I got it. I understood when it took all day to make a certain thing work and everything like that. And just, we work well together. So it wasn't as much of a struggle as...
I mean, communication was definitely an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
On both sides. Like, I had to be very communicative about what was happening and what the plans were and what decisions were being made. Obviously, you were a co-founder, so you were part of most of those decisions.
Yeah. But in order to get the beginning stuff done, I took on a more predominant role of a lot of the parenting, along with support for you, for sure.
Yeah.
Didn't leave it all to me.
Well,
but I allowed...
It wouldn't have been much different had I been away at an office for 8 hours a day.
Exactly.
It really wasn't that much different. The challenge is when you start an entrepreneurial venture where you work from home.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm just upstairs. Why doesn't he change the diapers every once in a while?
Yeah.
But I'm at the office.
Yeah.
Even though I'm at home. And so having long days while I'm actually at home, for a lot of people is hard. For 2 reasons. For that reason that I just described, but also a lot of people, they enjoy those hours of separation because alone time is important, and some people don't work very well together, and that can be a bit of a point of contention. We didn't have to suffer through that because we do work very well together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that can be a problem.
And we would get invited out for like a girls' night or a guys' night to say, hey, want to go see this movie? We're like, sure. Can the spouse come along? I know it's supposed to be, but I guess not. Okay, that defeats the purpose.
So were you, just to revisit the question then, when we were making that transition away from a stable environment, were you nervous at all about where's the money going to come from? How you said that you were nervous about the kids, but why the kids? Is it because we wouldn't be able to afford?
Yeah, there was some things I think that I was thinking may need to sacrifice. That if all the kids want to do ballet, that was one of those things we would have to juggle to say, how can we afford that and still survive on the savings we have? Could we afford that? So that was one of those things. But as well, just the juggling of parenting, where because they were 5 and very, very busy children, that sometimes, like, I know you need a program right now. I think let's take that for a break. Need some more daddy time with the kiddos. So that sort of thing.
Which ended up happening pretty regularly, and that was actually a huge blessing of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Is I didn't miss my kids' entire childhood because I was at the office all the time.
Yeah.
The office was upstairs. I would come down to eat. I'd come down to hang out. I'd come down for my breaks, and sometimes I'd come down when you got stressed out of your mind, which happens a lot. And then for most mothers, there's just, you have to deal with it. But fortunately, I was able to be there and relieve some of that.
And yeah, because you were at home, like you were saying, if you were at work, I'm sure there would have been overtime coming in, especially with working at IBM, and we would just never see you, but we got to.
Yep. So. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question, a little more straight shooting question. How do you stay on the same page financially as your spouse?
Calendar budget.
Your spouse being me.
Yes. Calendar budget. That's the easiest answer. And we set goals.
I mean, without tooting our own horns, what do you mean calendar budget?
Well, the idea is that I can look at my budget on the computer or on my phone when I'm out of the store, and I tend to be the one that does most of the grocery shopping. Well, at least used to. The kids start to help now. So, but I still kind of manage what's going to happen for the groceries.
So how does calendar budget get updated in our relationship?
You tend to keep that up to date mostly, but I use that to make sure I'm not going over budget on things.
Yeah, so we've got a system where I keep the budget up to date.
Yeah.
And then you know what's available to spend on whatever needs spending.
Yeah. The kids need new shoes or clothes or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas now they tend to buy some of those things themselves, so that budget has decreased as well.
Yeah.
But also, we will consult with each other. Hey, I just saw this. I remember when we were within our first few years of marriage, I saw this cool projector at the store, and I've looked at the budget. It looks like there's room in it, and I think that would be great entertainment for the family. What do you say? You want to do it? And it was on an amazing sale. I'm like, sure, sounds great. Because I know that you already consulted the budget, so it wasn't something of, oh, can we afford it?
So with regards to staying on page, though, so you're saying that calendar budget helps with that, but outside of that, like considering that everybody's different, like what does our banking look like? Where does the money go? Who pays the bills? And this kind of like talk about that.
That's a good question. Some couples will have like their separate accounts. Somebody covers the housing expenses. Somebody covers the mortgage.
Yeah.
But right from...
Who covers our mortgage?
No mortgage. Right from even before we got married, we had joint accounts. As you went away for those 2 years, that you said, here's my money in my car, take care of it, see you when I get back. And so right from then...
The stage was set.
Yeah, we've just trusted each other, and we knew that you need to think wisely with the money that you're going to spend, because it's not my money, not his money, it's our money. So
yeah, so for clarity, we have a single bank account that's a joint bank account.
One for our spending, and a few different savings accounts for emergency funds, for kids' education, and for future plans.
But we each have visibility into all of those accounts.
Yep.
There is no account that I don't have visibility into except for
the TFSA account that you can only have single access.
I think you have a retirement savings.
Yeah, that's the
fund.
TFSA account.
No, there's another one.
Oh, RSPs.
Yeah.
But yeah, as well.
401k for our U.S. listeners.
Yeah.
It's only in her name because that's legally how it has to be done.
And
it's
then,
the only one, but I open the mail, so I see. Yeah. I see that you don't even know what your balance is, but I do.
Do you? Okay, cool. I know approximately-ish. So, but I know that I'm not going to be using it anytime soon. I do look at it when it comes, but
open communication is key to all this. Calendar budget helps facilitate that, but it doesn't mean we don't talk about it. Like we often are having conversations about what's coming. What's what is this transaction that I don't recognize coming in on the credit card? And then nobody's hiding, like nobody has a stash somewhere where they're hiding money away or spending in a way that is hidden and obscured from the relationship. We have totally open visibility into all that kind of thing, which I think is part of the reason that we get along so well. There's literally nothing to hide.
And we have similar goals, or same goals, really, for...
We should.
Current, future.
Shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're married, you should probably be on the same page as your spouse when it comes to your future goals, because you're going to be with this person for the rest of your life. Like, set the same goals. It only makes sense to me.
Like, it doesn't mean that you do everything the same. Like, Eric really loves archery, and I love it too, but I know that he loves it even more than I do. And so when he says, I think I should get a new bow, I'm like, okay, budget says, and this is a goal. You want to get good at that. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Or me with the writing, and you want some education on that? Sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Okay, back to being a business owner.
Although there is one thing to take note of is I keep up CalendarBudget's books. So while you keep up our personal books, I keep up CalendarBudget's books. So even CalendarBudget, we're having it budget for itself as well.
Yeah. So when you say books, you're saying like business accounting, bookkeeping.
Yeah. And budgeting for things as well.
I don't do anything there. I don't want to know how to do it. I have no interest in doing that.
And I find it fascinating.
At all.
I love numbers. Just numbers.
Keep me in the code, improving the tool. I don't want to see anything about accounting books. That's one of the least interesting
But he is
things.
aware of things as well. He knows what's going on. And
I mean, I know
yeah.
I know enough to run the business, yes, but I don't.
And we make plans together on how much operating reserve and things like that we want to have, and where is this money going to be used.
Yeah. Okay, question about you, about the business again, like just in general, but for you specifically, what is something that you feel like you need to get better at business-wise?
Let's see. I'd like to improve on time management because I find that I get this creative mind going on different aspects, and I can go down the rabbit hole on some things and easily get drawn away to something else that can be more creative. Like I want to help improve how people are led into CalendarBudget and how it sits in their mind. And so my brain goes on creative mode for that, of what can possibly be done for that. And that could take a while. Every now and then that comes up and leads me on that. Or even trying to balance and juggle like between family and business and personal interests. So
yeah,
I'd like to do that better.
Probably if I had to answer that same question, what is something that I need to be better at business-wise would be, I think, prioritizing support tickets. I obviously coding is my passion, and making the tool better, but answering people's question makes the tool better. And when people are stuck, first of all, they took the time to write me in. They could have just left CalendarBudget. So they took the time to write in about a problem that they're having.
So we're grateful to hear that.
And while I do try to answer support tickets as often and quickly as I can, I think I need to do a better job of like following up on them, so that I don't want the situation where weeks have gone by where I've responded, kind of identified where the problem area is, and then said, okay, we're gonna work on that. But then, weeks go by before I give an update. Even if we haven't prioritized that in our development, I think I need to do better at just following up and saying, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. This request is still in our minds. We just haven't prioritized it, but we're still thinking about you, and hopefully the workaround we talked about will hold you.
Yeah.
Hold you up until we get there.
And make sure that when it is answered, that you do feel that it is answered.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I really try not to be dismissive or hasty when I'm answering support tickets, but
yeah,
it happens sometimes.
It's not our nature, really.
I'm not perfect, and I do try to be really diligent and thorough with support tickets, but everybody has a bad day from time to time, or you're super busy and trying to just let people know that you haven't forgotten, but maybe you didn't quite spend enough time answering somebody's question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest area for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, last question on my list is, how do you say no to your kids when they want something that's not in the budget?
Well, for years, since the kids were small, if I ever went grocery shopping, I had the 3, 4, or 5, however many kids we had at that point, come along with me, babies or not. And I remember them going to find things like, oh, you want crackers? Great. Which ones do you like? Oh, look at this. You get 3, you get to save some money there. Or if we get the generic brand, you get to save some money there. And I'd show them different aspects. So like, oh, no, let's not get that brand one. Let's go for this one. And you saw them to start to take on that kind of mindset and do the same things. and introduce them to thrift shopping, which I learned that from my own mother and father, that you can get some amazing stuff by thrift shopping or even shopping at stores that uh, would charge lesser prices. So
you've taught them well,
yeah.
but
now about
how do you
saying
say no when your kids ask for something that's not in the budget?
I guess the biggest thing now would be clothing. And now that they're older, as the last few years come along, be like, okay, I see that you want these name brand things. It's going to be $60 to $80, $100 for one item. All right, I'm willing to pay $30 or $40, whatever the normal budget would be for that item. And if you want anything beyond that, then you can earn the money and pay for the difference. Or you can get something else that will fit in the budget that I'm willing to pay.
Okay. It's a good approach.
Yeah.
So you don't say no. You say, here's what is realistic for me.
What I can support.
And what if you want more than that, you need to top it off. Because our kids are old enough that they have jobs and such that they can do that. What if your kids were younger? Like, how do you say no to a 5 or 8-year-old that wants something that's not in budget? They don't have means to top anything up except for their minuscule allowance, but that's probably insufficient.
Yeah, exactly. Help them make a plan for it. If they really want something like that they can still have it. Just how can you achieve it? And how long is it going to take? Is it really worth it? Well, you want a bike? Okay. Can we get the same bike at a discount price? Can we, how long would it take to save for it? If it's going to take you thousands of years, you're not going to want the bike by that point. You're going to want a car. So.
I like that approach. That's a really good answer.
Is there something more that you can do that, go ahead and try to convince me that I should be going about this for you?
So you basically never say no.
Always give them opportunity to discuss it and find a way to achieve it. Or is it really worth it? What other things is it going to take you away from achieving that you want to achieve?
Yeah.
Like you want this giant chocolate bar that's going to cost you $100? Is that really what you want to spend your money on?
So you don't say no. You explain what would be required to make it happen, and they end up saying no because either it's not worth the effort on their end to achieve it, or there's something else that's a higher priority. Yeah. So you never say no. You get them to say no.
I don't think I always did that 100%, but
it's a great approach.
It was something I tried to do for most of the time.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Okay, well, I think we might be approaching the end of today's podcast. Any other?
What was your financial experience like growing up? Things that, like the major pillars that taught you that finances were something important to consider in your life?
Well, my parents taught me how to save from a very young age. Mm-hmm. I got an allowance like most kids do, but I only saw 50% of that allowance.
Right.
They would sit down with me and say, here's 50% of your allowance. And every month or 2 or 3, my dad would sit down with me and show me where the other 50% of my allowance was going. Like part of it was going into a savings account. So part of it was going into long-term savings. Part of it was going to tithing. And he had this split. And I just got used to taking the 50%. I thought, that was my allowance. But it was never hidden from me. That was explained very well and reviewed regularly so that I knew that's what you do. You don't get 100% of your money and spend 100% of your money. You get 100%, and then you actually only spend 50% or a portion of it, and these other half of your money or this other part of your money has jobs to do, and they are all laid out. So I had that right from the beginning when I started getting allowance. Nice. I grew up with that, and it's really no different as an adult. You get an income, and you don't get to spend 50% of it now. It's more like 3% of it, maybe.
Yeah.
But the idea that your money has jobs to do and that you have to set it doing these jobs, paying bills, going into savings,
Yeah.
covering your obligations for whatever. And then when all that is done, then you take the remaining bit.
Okay.
That was like programmed into me as a young kid, and it served me well.
I had some similar education growing up where we paid our tithing as well. We wanted to give back, and I had a little bit different experience of taking what we did have and finding a way to make it work to satisfy the needs of our family. Clothing, all right, so you need new shoes. You've grown out them. Let's go find the right place to get them that our family can afford at this time. And whatever other things that came like that up with that. Different activities or maybe gymnastics or something like that we wanted to participate in. Of where are we going to dedicate our funds? And so,
Nice.
yeah, that kind of conversations came up with our parents too.
Very good.
Yeah. Also, when our parents were thinking, okay, our family could use another burst of income here, that they took the time to educate themselves further, to improve themselves, that would give them more income. So I remember my dad going back to school for psychology and improving his personal value. And my mom, like I was saying before about her
Did he use this in his career?
He didn't actually become a psychologist at that point. I think we were starting to get to mid.
He's used it to manipulate you.
Oh, you should have seen it as he was studying. My mom, he would say, all right, just hold this stick and I'm going to drop and you catch it, okay?
It was actually
What's
a
the stick?
teenager life skills course.
Completely.
He just called it psychology.
Yeah, and made him the best dad ever. Of course.
Yeah,
No.
my mom did something similar. She went back when I was in high school
Oh, yeah.
and took a course in sheet metalworking
Yes, and she worked with a lot of
and
gentlemen.
joined a union, and like
Yeah.
that changed the income for my family drastically.
Yeah.
And she got a great deal of satisfaction out of that career until she retired.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So yeah, you learn things from your parents in their ways that they handle finances, things that have gone well, things that haven't gone well, and you learn what to do to move forward and help teach your own family. And of course, our kids have all learned finances quite well, haven't they?
Wow. Try as you might, you would think that the founders of a personal finance and budgeting company would have effectively taught, and their kids would be perfect at budgeting. But, you know, kids are kids. They
have learned it, though.
They take what they want out of
Yeah.
out of the teaching and influence, and a lot of times they just don't want to hear it.
I do recall where when they were young, we had access to their account and we would give them the cash to be able to go and spend their money as they wished as time went on. And we would help curb the overspending so that they didn't run out of money and miss out on big things we knew that were going to be coming up, say in the summertime or whatever. And then comes a point in their life, they're like, I am tired of you controlling my finances. I would like to have access to that myself now. I'm like, okay, we've taught you what we've taught you, and now let's see how you do with it. And some have flown well, and some are continuing to grow, and they recognize that. So
yeah,
you've seen that where one was talking to another educator.
Save tremendously and have no problems with their finances, and other, some of our own kids are obviously having some difficulties with that.
Yeah. But we're excited as we see them progress in what they are capable of. We're like, oh, look at that. They're understanding this even more. They're making those next steps themselves. As one of them decided that they wanted to invest. I want to make my money work better for me. And the other ones started listening like, hey, that's a neat idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was the first time they ever heard it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the thing. No man is a prophet in his own land. So
yeah,
much as we are experts, they don't want to hear it from us. They listen more when they hear it from their peers or other adults that they respect. It's not that they don't respect us, but
it doesn't quite.
It's the same.
All
like
the time.
Not every engineer has children that become engineering geniuses.
Yeah.
Right. That's just the nature of life. Kids do their own thing.
Yeah, but it's fun to watch them learn and grow in that aspect as well.
Exactly. All right. Well, there's a little bit of information about us, the co-founders of Calendar Budget. We hope that has been informative for you and enjoyable. We'll be back next week with our regular tidbits and advice on personal finance and how to make the most of your money. Until then, happy budgeting.
I can pay cash, I can pay check, I can pay wire transfer, I can pay gift card, I can pay credit, I can pay anything you like. I can pay cash, I can pay check, I can pay wire transfer, I can pay gift card, I can pay credit, I can pay